if you're still planning a summer holiday, you might want to watch out for some pretty strict new rules and destinations around Europe. Sorrento on the Amalfi Coast in Italy was the last town to announce a ban on walking in bikinis around town. It will be handing out fines of a few dozens of euros to 500 euros to anyone caught wearing one, depending on where in the city the offense is performed. Back in May, both Barcelona and Mallorca also introduced fines for bikini wearers and topless people when they're not on the beach. For more on that, we're joined by Carmit Levite. He's our cultural contributor. Thank you very much for being with us, Carmit.
Hi.
So the mayor of the town of Sorrento, I said the bikini wearing and topless tourists makes locals feel discomfort and unease. Was there a large public debate about this before the decision was made?
I think there was, mainly from the locals of town. You know, I went to his, when he wrote this on Twitter, when he proclaimed this new sort of law, so to speak, all the responses were finally, please enforce it. They were unanimously, mostly of the locals, very much for this. I can imagine that this is not just like a last-minute decision. During the corona, I assume tourism went down pretty drastically. And now that we're back and all the coronavirus laws are out and anyone can do anything, they're back in droves, and it's one of the most magnetic places in Italy to come to. It's really gorgeous over there, and there are over 3 million tourists now. So basically, they're coming there and feeling that they're on holiday, they're free to do whatever they want. But if you look at it in a cultural aspect, I understand where they're coming from. A lot of people are saying, oh my God, this is like Roe v. Wade and conservatism and religious aspects. Italians they dress up to throw their trash. Their decorum is dressing up, and their way of showing respect to a place, a restaurant, the theater, is to dress up. You will never catch an Italian wearing khakis and flip-flops. For them, it's a way to say, this is our town. This is how we feel about our town, and if you want to come to our town, please respect us.
So it's not like bikinis are out of the question. They are welcomed, but on the beach, right, and at the pool.
Absolutely.
But not in restaurants, not in shopping malls, not in a pedestrian walkway somewhere in the center of the city.
Exactly. And as you mentioned, the closer you are to the beach, the less your fine is going to be. And the further away you go, as the fine will grow in relatively.
And as you're mentioning, as you're mentioning, this comes right after the pandemic, when we're seeing a huge increase in tourism around the world. And Barcelona and Mallorca did it just 2 months ago. Do we have any data on how many fines were already handed out, or was it just a declarative move by the authorities?
I think in Barcelona and in Palma de Mallorca, they actually enforced it. And Mallorca even went further to ban wearing team shirts or glow-in-the-dark hats, or anything that resonates your soccer team, or your soccer team. Because you can imagine all the altercations that incur once you go to a bar and you're slightly drunk and you see someone's on your opposite team. So they went as far as that.
Wow.
And, on one side, I think it's their way of doing things, and I respect that. Of course, it makes you feel uncomfortable to go to a town where oh my God, if I leave a couple of more steps away from where I am right now, I'm going to be fine. So it takes away from the feel of vacation. But on the other hand, if you're going to a restaurant and someone sits next to you, with their bikini or without a shirt at all, how would you feel? It's hot, it's sunny, people are schwitzing. There's something to say about that. Maybe there is something to it. And
yeah, definitely.
How else are you going to enforce this other than giving a fine?
Let's talk about Tel Aviv. Just a couple of months ago, there was a client in a Tel Aviv restaurant that was kicked out because she was not properly dressed, according to management. But Tel Aviv is really far from it, right? You can see people in bikinis
really a one-off.
and without shirts on everywhere.
Especially on the Tayalet, which we call the promenade. I feel that in Israel, once you cross into the Middle East, well, Italy is also obviously on the Mediterranean Sea, but once you come to this part of the world, here, you'll go to a wedding, people will be there with khakis and shorts. The decorum here is not as pronounced. Of course, synagogues and mosques and churches, when you walk into those, you respect the reverie and you dress accordingly. But once you get to the beaches of Tel Aviv, all that just fades away. You do feel there are some in the Arab community and the religious communities that they are fully dressed, and that's how they go into the sea. And we just coexist with that. There's nothing along those lines of finding someone or even feeling uncomfortable if someone comes undressed to a restaurant. That seafood restaurant that you spoke about, that was actually a woman treated her that way. She could have done it differently. But I understand, you come into my restaurant, please dress accordingly. But that's truly a rare occasion. And in Tel Aviv, things are much easier, flowier, and it's a different mentality entirely.